Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, coming again today, you're very welcome, and I trust you enjoyed my last video on R&B soul band All For One, and through this song, I Swear, which sounds a little bit desperate to me. We looked at being realistic in love, so I trust you found that one encouraging. Well, we're going from there to 1955 in Amsterdam. Now, this guy, guitar, keyboards, backing vocals, and for his rock band, which is considered one of the best, really, primary songwriter. He is considered one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time. Rolling Stone put him at number 4. But his dad was a jazz musician in the Dutch Air Force, and mum was Indonesian, and they did a bit of moving around, but they settled in Netherlands and ended up in 1962 moving to the United States to Pasadena, California. And it was there that his dad continued to play into local jazz bands, and he would play bass, and his brother Alex would play drums. The guy we're talking about is Eddie Van Halen. Now, you cannot do a channel like this one and not look at the significance of this guy. Absolutely incredible. Eddie actually never read music, but he learned by watching some recitals from Bach and Mozart, and he did learn improvisation from there. And certainly when we get onto the clip you have to get onto when you look at Eddie Van Halen, you'll see there's absolutely classical influences in there, absolutely. Influenced by the Beatles, of course, and the Dave Clark 5. He and Alex got together and started the band The Broken Crumbs in local high school. And this is where he learned guitar and learned from such greats as Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page. Certainly more, I think, going after Jimmy Page's style than Eric Clapton's style. In 1972, he and his brother Alex formed the band Mammoth, and when David Lee Roth formed, they changed the name to Van Halen. Why not? It's an incredible surname, really, and why wouldn't you give your band name that name? It was around that early 1970s, mid-1970s, that there was a bit of involvement with Kiss. There was a rumour at one point that Eddie was going to actually play for Kiss at one stage, but that was kind of a vicious rumour. But there was a bit of a collaboration there with Kiss and Van Halen for a while. Kiss really saw something in these guys and wanted to get them going. It never really took off. I think there was too much conflict of interest flying around the place, but it didn't matter. Warner Brothers actually signed Van Halen in 1977. In 1978, out came the album Van Halen. Rolling Stone magazine put this at number 292 of the top 500 albums of all time. And we got the classic You Really Got Me, a bit of a cover, that one, but we've got a video clip of that one, very much introducing Van Halen to the world. Now, Van Halen sort of had a couple of other albums, Van Halen 2 and a few others. And in 1982, when Michael Jackson was thinking about what he was going to do, breaking away from the family, out came that iconic Thriller album. And now, we all know that this album is one of the highest selling albums of all time. And one of the reasons why this album is one of the highest selling albums of all time, apart from Michael Jackson's incredible vocals, incredible songs, and Quincy Jones' incredible production, was that incredible lead guitar solo in Beat It. Now, the story goes that Eddie Van Halen came in to record that little bit of solo, and he thought, oh, there's something not quite right with it. You mind if I have a bit of a play with it? And it was when he was sort of laying it down that Michael Jackson walked in, and Eddie was thinking, oh man, I've really done my dash here, this isn't going to work. And Michael Jackson said, hang on a minute, you might be onto something here. You've actually made this song really good. And so they kept that iconic lead guitar solo. In fact, the Thriller was so significant that interestingly, Thriller actually shoved Van Halen's album 1984 to number 2. So that's quite funny when you think of it. But What was actually almost a non-planned lead guitar solo in Beat It became, as I can see, one of the best really going around. But going back to the initial Van Halen album, 1978, for a second, we've got to go back, first of all, to Steve Hackett of Genesis. Now, Steve Hackett is generally regarded as the one that invented tapping on guitar necks, and so we've got a bit of a live clip of him actually doing that. But along comes Eruption, and I think Eddie Van Halen just took this to the next level. And we've got a live clip of Eddie Van Halen doing Eruption. There's been a bit of a friendly kind of banter between Steve Hackett and Eddie Van Halen around this tapping technique, but you know, the music changed forever when Eruption erupted onto the music scene. And when you actually watch this clip, which is below, the world just kind of stands still, because we're not just. It's almost like guitar has gone into heaven, and heaven is playing guitar with Eddie. That's how significant this particular performance is. And I think what we can take out of Eddie Van Halen is his ability to create, his ability to think outside the box, and his ability to dare to be different. I think Eddie Van Halen is well and truly responsible for Van Halen's success. And to be able to, I suppose, make a guitar sing like this guy can is pretty amazing. So to be able to, I think, erupt into the world, and Eruption is such an incredible title for this song, because that's absolutely what it is. It's an eruption of sound. It just encompasses all of you, and is absolutely, dare I say, beautiful at the same time. And so it's good to actually give Eruption the due, I suppose, respect it deserves. In 1984, out came the album. It was 1984. It was a massive album for Van Halen, and of course, who can't forget Jump, with that iconic guitar lead keyboard solo in it. Eddie Van Halen was responsible for that keyboard riff, and so we've got a live version here with Sammy Hagar actually taking up the lead vocals of Jump. Of course, he took over from David Lee Roth in the mid-1980s. We've also got a live version of Panama. I just love the song Panama. I think there's something really cool about this one. Shoot forward to 2015, live version of that one. Now, it's around that time that Eddie Van Halen was starting to collaborate with some other people, including The Who. So when Pete Townshend kind of became unavailable, Eddie Van Halen was called upon to do the lead guitar for The Who. So that's pretty massive nod to his talent right there. Steve Lukather is involved with him as well. Of course, Steve Lukather was also involved in Beat It as well. He did the main guitar riff in that song. Moving forward, we've got Eddie, sort of, because Sammy Hagar could play guitar quite well. Eddie went to a bit more keyboard at this point in the iconic 5150 album, Why Can't This Be Love? We've got a live version of that one. And I thought, let's just get Eddie Van Halen a little bit more stripped back. And here we got him and Sammy. Eddie's playing on a grand piano. And Sammy's doing what he does best, just singing really well. It's just a really nice clip of the two of them singing right now. Eddie Van Halen did leave us in 2020. He, trying to get my maths right here. I don't think wasn't 60 years old actually. As what clips? I think we're talking. 65 years old. He was born in 1955, died in 2020, 65 years old. He left this world, unfortunately. And I think the rock industry just paused that day for the passing of a significant lead guitarist. Van Halen actually released 12 albums and 56 singles, estimated to have sold 75 million albums. So in the scheme of things, very significant. And of course, Eddie Van Halen did collaborate with some other artists and albums as well. But Eddie Van Halen will always be known for Eruption, and it's great to be able to give tribute to him today. So the links to those 9 clips in the description below. And I've also included my last video on All For One, just for something completely different. So if you want to recap on them, feel free. Well, if this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, or you're coming back for another one, how great to see everybody here. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to get on to Deep Blue Something. I had that hit Breakfast at Tiffany's. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.